It is such a beautiful thing to be able to try and use your body to its fullest potential. I guess we all want to be happy. For me, that came from using my body. Running was a really big way that I experienced that happiness. But as with a lot of runners, the injuries started to mount and yeah, essentially I was forced into cycling. I went for one ride and I looked at the Strava leaderboard and I went, I hate this. I'm so bad at this and I don't like it. I wanted to challenge myself to get better, and my dad had always done this race called the Otway Odyssey, which was a 100-kilometre mountain bike marathon. And I thought, marathon, I run those. I'm sure it's the same thing on the bikes. For a newbie up the climbs, I had really good times, so I knew that there was some potential there. So I trained all through COVID, and then once lockdown started to lift, I started going to races. My times, again, up the climbs were really strong, and that got noticed. From there, things really exploded. One of the things I did pretty early on was start an Instagram account. It's definitely not typically me. I've never been a social media person whatsoever. I think for other people that have only seen this online identity and this account, naturally we're a bit skeptical about whether I could actually ride a bike. I can sense that they've got these ideas that I have to just kind of let go and not try to prove myself or prove who I am. But it has been really good to show that I am actually a strong bike rider. I didn't get that many opportunities to race before we headed to Europe. I knew that I was coming in pretty fresh and it would be tough, and it was.
We did have a mechanical here, trying to get her chain back on. Completely stuck here.
I'm there on the start line for the final day, and there's just these massive climbs.
This looks like Tilly Field. She'd apparently only been riding on the road for about 2 years, and believe it or not, she says she's come to this race on the back of about 250k per week, about 8 hours of training each week to get to this point. We need to watch this rider. I think she's going to be quite the talent.
At this point, I couldn't walk. My ankles were swollen, such intense pain in my back. Off the bike, I could barely function. You're just having to go so far within yourself to find what you need to push your limit beyond what your mind thinks is capable, but what your body thinks is even capable. Everything in your being is screaming at you to stop, and you've just got to keep going. I got there and I crossed the line. I was, 30th or something? No one really cares about the person crossing the line in 30th. No one's there to say well done. I sat in the car on the way back to Belgium and I just started crying. I've just done the hardest thing of my whole entire life and put myself through so much pain and what feels like a lot of suffering. I think suffering is good and pain is an important part of life. It's just that when you suffer, you want to know that it's for a reason, that it's going to be worth it. And for me, it got to a point where I was suffering and experiencing so much pain to find nothing at the end of it. And I began to question, why am I doing this? Why would I make myself feel that much pain? Who am I doing that for? Because I don't think I'm doing that for me. People have this idea of what achievement and success is. If I were you, I would absolutely just train and get good and win races. People think that that is what success is. And I had to start finding a way to communicate to people and explain that I'm not happy, like that. I don't think that will make me happy. We are so much more in control of how we can be happy than we realise. And when you can let go of expectation and pressure, that's when you can be really happy. What I love and what gives me purpose is just making goals and achieving them, and doing that for me for the sake of it in itself. So my goals are going to look a little different now. I am going to be racing Zwift for a World Tour esports team, which is wild and allows me to do the other things in my life that I'm passionate about. So yeah, I'm excited. I feel like I've spent a lifetime trying to prove myself. Had these moments of victory followed by tears and disappointment and questions of self-worth. But can I share with you something liberating? It turns out that you don't have to prove anything to be happy. Set your own goals and follow your own path.